Okay, we are back. Welcome to today's live session with Marléne and Pascale. Today we are talking about living with uncertainty. For those of you that don't know us, my name is Pascale Lane. I'm a relationship and confidence coach, and I help women to feel into the life that they deserve with more happiness, confidence, and success. And Marléne?
Yes, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Marléne Rose Shaw. I'm a therapist and a coach and a self-help author. And I specialise, like Pascale, in helping people with relationships and confidence and all that stuff about setting boundaries and stopping people pleasing and leading your best life.
Absolutely. And actually, one thing that we never do, Marléne, and we always remind ourselves that we're going to do, so I'm going to do it now because I've just remembered, is that we should also be talking about our books, because we're both authors.
Yes.
And we've both got fabulous books. So if anybody wants to know more about either of our books or our work, obviously check out the link. But do you want to just do a little quick synopsis of your book, and then I'll do one on mine?
Yeah. So the book I'll talk about is called How Kind People Get Tough. So it's a play on words, really, but it's all about helping people stay kind and be, the person they want to be, but at the same time be assertive and get the respect that they deserve.
Wonderful. And it's a fabulous book.
It is a fabulous book.
It is a fabulous book.
And Pascale, your beautiful book.
My book is, oh gosh, what's my book called?
How to Be Happy.
How to Be Happy in Life and Love, a guide to living the life that you deserve. I'm so sorry.
It's a wonderful guide, actually. The fact that you put guide in that title is really apt, because it is a wonderful guide.
It is. And it's basically a life coaching pack. It's life coaching in a book, basically. So we go through all of the modules, all of the modules of my DIY course, and both the book and the course I put together because they're all the regular themes that come up with my clients, all the regular topics that come up, and I just wanted to make it accessible to as many women as possible, really. Sorry.
It's great to do that, isn't it? That's what I do as well. It's great to be able to take what you do in sessions and put it into a book that people can find really accessible, and just pick up and dip into and read as and when they want to. And yeah, it's really great to do that, isn't it? Absolutely. So we'll if anybody wants to find out more, then we'll put the links somewhere. We'll put the links in. Yeah,
absolutely.
That'd be good.
Okay, so living in uncertain times. Well, goodness me. I mean, how long have we got, Marléne? We can talk about this for hours, because there are so many different avenues that we can go down with this. And I think the most obvious one, not necessarily one that we will talk about today, but the most obvious one, obviously, is post-COVID. Actually, I was having a chat with a lady this week, yesterday, in fact, who was talking about relationships and talking about how many couples actually split up during the pandemic, because they realized that they didn't really know their partner. You don't know somebody until you're living in that kind of situation. But we can talk about, the climate. There are so many parts to it. But I think that for me, what I find really interesting, the topic that is coming up again and again for me at the moment, and partly because I'm in this part of my life myself, and partly because that's, a lot of the women that I work with, most of the women that I work with are in their 40s. It's kind of like this perimenopause, menopause, period of change, like time of transition, and I can put the overall umbrella as being menopause, but actually the individual strands of that are so diverse. So many of us, and I just think it's just a huge, it is a time of uncertainty.
I think it is, and it's interesting that you say that about the menopause, because this this uncertainty is individual to people, to women, and it's global. And I think that the combination of that, it feels so big. A lot of my clients over the last year really have been talking about a lot of things that are going on for them personally and in the bigger picture, that mean that they have to somehow or other navigate their way through these uncertain waters, that they don't have anything that they can be certain of as they have done previously. I've experienced it in my life, in various different ways. I think most people I know have, friends, family, and clients have, the world, that's what's been happening in the world on so many different levels.
So many different levels, yeah. Absolutely. And of course there's the financial climate, which I think we can't ignore either. And so all of it together, I think there's a lot of that. I mean, I don't know whether or not there's always been, it's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes when stuff is in the media, when I mean like news media, but also like social media, and people are talking about this stuff, like, has this stuff always been there? Or is it, and we just weren't talking about it? Or are we just much better now at talking about it, and or is there more of it? Like it's hard to know. Whenever I talk about menopause, there's always so many comments, so back in terms of like, oh, I'm so glad you're talking about it. But I think that period of uncertainty, especially, I mean, we work with a very similar age group, we work with very similar needs and difficulties, and I think the reason why we both enjoy that and the reason why we both do that is because there is so much need. Like, I think for women, I don't want to be exclusive to anybody, so forgive me if you're listening to this and you think that I'm not being diverse enough, but I think 40s and 50s is a huge time of transition, because it's not just about menopause. We've got the whole kind of work-life balance, being a mum, being a working mum, relationships changing, children growing, identity within yourself, identity in your relationship, in your job. I mean, it's just huge. It's a huge area to talk about.
And then there is the global things that have been happening as well. And when you say, how are we just noticing? Well, I think it's because there's just been so much of it. And that's why I think it's good to talk about living with uncertainty as a kind of a concept, rather than saying fix this one area or fix this other area. If we can actually embrace the fact that life has been uncertain, and what do we do about this thing called uncertainty, then I think we can have a guide then to navigate through all these different things, whatever they are, whatever the uncertain thing is that's going on in our life, or things, probably more than one.
And so often, like with whatever the topic or issue that we are dealing with our clients, so often actually the biggest step forward that we can encourage our clients, our audience to do is actually to just acknowledge that, like acknowledge that this is uncertain times, like acknowledge that this is a period of difficulty, a period of change, and actually just, for the most part, in inverted commas, kind of be okay with that. Like, not like that it doesn't matter and it's not important. It does matter and it is important, but actually, rather than trying to fight against everything all the time, and actually I was having this conversation with a really good friend of mine the other day, like very, very recently. And I was playing back to her something that she said to me a couple of months ago, just before I moved to Spain. And that was, you know, like when we've got big changes going on, actually the best thing that we can do is actually just be present, like, and just stop actually always trying to fight or fix. I'm a fighter and a fixer. Definitely. I'm always like, I'm always taking action, doing more, like pivoting, changing, trying to work out how I can fix it. And actually, sometimes we do need to be reminded that actually the very best thing that we can do, and not to say that to do nothing, but actually just to kind of accept that we are in a period of change and uncertainty, and actually just be okay with that.
A kind of letting go, isn't there? I think what I find really useful is to really get clarity on what can I control and what can't I control. And when we can recognize that and let go of the things that we just can't control, because, you know, all human beings, we are controlling. I know that it's a bit of a dirty word when you say, oh, control freak, you know, people, oh, they're controlling. And some people are, you know, obviously to too much of an extreme. But in a general sense, the reality is that we all want to be in control of our lives, because we want to do that. You know, we want to be able to manage our lives well. So of course we want to be in control of our lives. And when we feel that control is being taken away from us, that's when we want to control more. Controlling isn't about controlling things. It's about getting control back when we feel it's being taken from us. So it's about saying, well, what are the things I can manage, that I can control, that I can do something about, that I can fix, as you said? And what are the things that I simply can't? So I'm wasting my bandwidth and my energy and my time angsting about those things that I can't control. And actually, wouldn't it be better to take a breath and be calmer and actually use that energy to manage the things that I can? And it's about getting that clarity between the two, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and that is a fine line to tread in a way, because I mean, I absolutely agree. Like, there is no point, in worrying about the things that are out of our control. But because I'm not a believer in that. Right? There's no point in angsting over stuff that we can have no input on. But sometimes it's really difficult to know what are the things that we can.
We get caught up in it, don't we? We're kind of angsting and worrying and lying there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that, you know, not sort of stopping to notice that we can't do anything about that anyway.
It's so true. So true. Okay, so what would be your one piece of advice, or two pieces of advice, whatever you prefer?
Funny you say that. I've got two things in mind. You read my mind.
What are your two pieces of advice? Correct one. To this that is resonating with our message today.
Well, actually, you know, I find, and I encourage my clients to do the same, and they find as well, that one thing is to let go and let the universe take care of some things for us. And by that, I mean being still, going out in nature, recognizing that we're a very tiny, weeny part of something much bigger that, you know, breathes our breaths for us, as I've said before, you know, beats our heart for us. Personally, I like to get into alpha state, as in meditate in alpha state, and just meditate on changing something that I need to change, and letting it happen that way, rather than actioning and doing things and talking a lot about things that aren't working, but just letting go and meditating and focus and visualizing on on that being better and what that feels like to be better. Just allowing, you know, just recognizing that there is some sort of, I'm not a religious person myself, but there is some sort of power or loving force that does take care of us. And I find when I let go and I put my trust in that, then the uncertainty is, you know, so much easier, because it's not my uncertainty, it's a higher power's certainty that I can lean on. And the other thing that I find hugely powerful, and again, my clients do, is to ask for help, to lean on friends, to recognize that people want to help each other, that they want to support each other, that we have good friends in our life. We have people in our life that we can say, can you help me with this? I'm a bit stuck. And they want to help, because we all love helping. So it's about recognizing, because when we're living with uncertainty and we're feeling anxious, when we go into that anxious state, we kind of think, oh, I have to do this all by myself. You know, I have to put on my Superwoman cape and fly around and be the superhero. And actually that, you know, that keeps us in that sort of state of stress. So it's about, I guess it's about asking on both those counts, and asking universe and asking each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that. I mean, the first one I would, so I am religious and I do have a strong faith. And so, and we've talked about this, you know, privately many times before. So I'm big on the universe. I'm big on the universal law of attraction, and I'm big on my faith in God, and you know, that's a big part of my life as well. So I definitely lean into that, and I say that broadly because, you know, both. My faith definitely helps to keep me grounded, and helps to remind me that I am looked after, and that it will be okay. Like that it will be okay. Because it inevitably is. So, you know, regardless of whether or not our listeners have a faith in God, a faith in Allah or Buddha or whoever else, or the universe, the great source, Mother Nature, whatever you choose to call, I definitely think finding out more about that, and you know, I don't preach here, I'm just saying, like, find out more about it if you're curious in it. And then the other part, which kind of lends itself to that, and I know you're very big on this as well, so I know that you will concur, is journaling.
Yes.
Which is another huge part of letting go, and being able to kind of not pass it on, because it's not quite passing it on, but, you know, just actually, the journaling process is always so interesting because it uses a different part of our brain. And so when we're writing, we're accessing, we think that we've kind of got it, like we talk about it in our heads and we work it through, but actually when we put it down on paper, it's a very, very different process. It's a very different emotional process, as well as a different intellectual process. And that's why journaling is so, so powerful.
Yeah, and I think it is so powerful on different levels, because it gives us release, but it also gives us clarity, doesn't it, when we journal? And actually maybe that would be quite helpful in that process of looking at, well, what can I control and manage, and what can't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess for anybody who's watching, who's really feeling overwhelmed at the moment with whatever it is, one or more uncertain things, we've got a few pointers there, haven't we, Pascale? We've got the, you know, lean on your faith, a faith or universe or something along those lines. Go for a walk in nature, go walk by the sea, something. And then we have connect with other people as well, don't we? Ask for help, ask for support, and then we have journaling and meditation. There's things we can do. There's things we can, oh, and of course come see a therapist. There's things we can do. Of course come see a therapist, because that's what we're here for. But you know, there are things when it all feels stormy at sea, you know, that I love that quote, and I put it in my book, one of my books, a couple of my books, by Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Women. And it is, I am not afraid of storms because I'm learning to sail my ship. And I love that, you know, just learn to sail your ship, ask for help.
Wonderful note to end on, Marléne. Okay, great. Okay, so like we said, if there are, if you would like to know any more about us, working with us, our books, our courses, or anything else, I'll put the links in the comment below. I've realised that if we put them actually in the main description, they don't show as well. So we'll put all the links in the comments below. In the comments, yeah, that's better, isn't it? Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you, Pascale. Always lovely to spend time with you. Very good.
Bye. Bye, everyone.